Hello, everyone. Today I'd like to talk about a discussion that Misty and I were once again having about the skeptic community that both of us were very much involved in at one time, and how it stopped being about believers versus non believers, and it's more about social justice warriors versus shitlords now. And every time I said the term social justice warrior, Misty would cringe because it just rolls off my tongue now because I've heard it so often in the past 2 years. But really, the root term there is social justice, and that's something that she's been taught, as well as I've been taught, to be a very positive thing in the world. And it's been in textbooks in classes that we have taught. Both of us are in the behavioral sciences. She's a social worker, and I am a psychotherapist. So both of us have been taught this term in very positive ways in classrooms, and we can both remember, even in high school, this term being in textbooks in the behavioral sciences. And so I decided to look up the difference in search results on Google Trends between social justice and social justice warrior to see, like, where did this trend start. you know it took over the community that I'm in, and I just want to know more about it. So I looked at this graph that Google gave me, and I stretched it out to all the way to 2004, where they started tracking all this shit. And what I see is every spring and every fall there's an uptick in students looking up the term social justice, right? And that pretty much correlates to what Misty and I were saying, that this is something that's taught in colleges as a positive thing. Now, starting around 2013, the term social justice warrior started picking up speed, and people started looking it up to see what exactly is that, right? And in the past few years, it's kind of doubled and tripled in popularity, but it's still not as popular as all the students across the world learning about social justice in classrooms. And for a very long period, between about 2013 and all the way back till about 2004, for a whole decade, this term was being taught in classrooms, and nobody was making pejoratives out of the term social justice and calling them social justice warriors, right? It was pretty much just accepted that the world would be better if we had more social justice. It was one of those. I can't really see how people not having justice would be a better thing, But then this justice that was being taught started being looked at in this different perspective in this niche community that I'm in on YouTube, and it is gaining traction a little bit more recently. Now, as well as social justice being a very old term, I do remember social justice warrior being used way back in the day before Google started tracking this. And where I remember it being used was in 2004 and 2005, and also back in 1999 and 2000. Both times I was working with the same guy in different labs, where we were both calibrating electronics across from each other, and he was listening to AM radio. And the conservative radio hosts that were having talk shows at the time were trying to come up with all sorts of nifty, crafty epithets to cast upon their opponents politically. And so I remember the term social justice warrior. I do remember it being used by one Rush Limbaugh back in the day, before people had the internet to be able to connect themselves with social media. But he also used a different term that he's pretty much known for in certain circles, and that is the term feminazi. Rush Limbaugh coined that term and used it so often, and I think it took off a lot more than the term social justice warrior. But I decided, I wonder if the term feminazi has a similar uptick in popularity. So I compared feminism to feminazi, and wouldn't you know it, there's this similar little uptick around 2004, right? Where people are looking at that a little bit more than social justice warrior. But then around 2013, it becomes popular again, right? And pretty much steadily over the years, every spring and fall, students are looking up the term feminism, right? And for about a decade, right here between, let's say, 2006 and 2012, that span right there in the middle, there's no interest in searching the terms that are epithets against feminism. There's just this uptick that happens, in popularity that starts around 2013. And it's very similar. In fact, let me just click between the two charts here so you can see that it's the same trend. Right? Isn't that amazing? I don't know what else it means other than maybe people are going to start dressing up like Alex P. Keaton from Family Ties as portrayed by Michael J. Fox and start being day traders and start wearing sweater vests, I guess, with their fedoras. But yeah, I just thought this was interesting. I thought I'd share it with you all because I really feel like young people who are coming into these discussions about social justice warriors don't realize that the root term social justice has a long history of people considering it a good thing rather than a negative pejorative term.